Hi, we're here with Robert Fry today, who's written his first book. It's called
A Simple Little Werewolf Tale at age 59.
So Robert, tell me about your unusual childhood.
Well, Bill, that's a very good question. I was raised by a welfare single mother. I had one brother and two sisters. So my mother could never quite pull it together as a person, but I loved her dearly and she did the best she could for us.
Sure.
All right, so I grew up along the Oregon coast in beach shacks, like all the various little towns in the 70s when they were so small towns.
Okay.
So what was so unusual about our childhood was, so we had a large 1967 or 68 blue station wagon, and in the summertime, when we were not in school, my mother would have us travel all around the country to all the hippie events.
So you guys were all piled in the station wagon.
Mm-hmm. And would live all summer long. So we went border to border all over the country, and we had many excellent adventures. The most memorable adventure was we were in Nashville, Tennessee at the old Grand Ole Opry, and we spent the night in the Opry parking lot, and the next day we went to the Opry to go use the restroom. I thought that was memorable. People often ask me, if your mother was so hand and mouth, how did you afford to travel from border to border?
Right.
Well, in the old days, the police station had something called Traveler's Aid. You just go to your local police station on your trip and tell them you'll go to the next town and promise to leave, and they would give you a free tank of gas, a free room in a hotel, and a free meal. In that era, we had mostly sit-down restaurants, not so many fast food restaurants, and they'd send you on your way. So my mother used that program for about 8 years to get us border to border, ocean to ocean.
That's great.
So my mother was a trailblazer. We were homeless before it became popular.
So you guys were just ahead of the curve.
Ahead of the curve.
Okay.
Now, I like this now, because see, one thing I learned about going to the hippie movement is this. I learned about their philosophies and their free-spiritedness. All right, let me explain. Their philosophy of peace and love and less materialistic stuff actually is a good philosophy. And also I learned about being a free spirit. So I have no problem going to naked beaches and running here, there, and everywhere, and I don't care. And people ask me, well, aren't you embarrassed? Here's what I say. I ain't got nothing you haven't seen before, but if I do, take a good look, because I don't care. So during the hippie movement, I kind of learned my philosophy on life. Now, when I meet a young person and they're drinking or drugging or doing too many wrong things, the first thing I tell them is, I'm not judgmental. I said, I don't care what you're doing, but why do you hate yourself so much to be doing such bad choices? So I tell them, I have a real simple philosophy, and it works. Every morning in the mirror, go to the mirror and say, I like and love myself, and today I'll make better choices. If you like and love yourself, you will clean yourself up. And I have done that before, and it still works, and it works beautifully.
So you get good results.
I get very good results on
Wonderful.
that, you know. And I found the program was real simple, because if I dreamed of a program that took 3 hours a day, 3 days a week, nobody would do it. But this only takes 10 minutes.
Yeah.
And so the person starts realizing, well, why? I don't need to do this anymore, because I really do like and love myself. And so they get better over time. So that is one thing I did learn from the hippie movement. Also, I learned, have faith in thyself, trust in thyself, believe in thyself, and I will set thy world on fire. And I have. Now, after I had my interesting childhood, I became a janitor in various buildings for 33 years, and I worked very hard. Now, I took care of my mother and my brothers and sisters. I helped my mother raise them when I went to work at 17. Then after that, I kept helping them until my mother passed on at age 42.
Weren't you the main financial supporter of the household too?
Yes, I was. Because even though my mother got a small welfare pension, it was never enough. Not even that era.
So from 17 on,
I was the breadwinner.
You're the bread. Okay, go ahead.
Yes.
Thank you.
So
congratulations.
I continued to raise my brothers and sisters, but they all had anger issues. They always blamed mother for, we can't do any better because of our poor childhood.
Right.
And I said, here's my philosophy. I told, especially my late brother Eric, he passed on at age 54 of a car crash due to drug issues. And I said, here is the key. If mother did the best she could, if she didn't do good enough, do better.
Yeah.
Believe in yourself, go do better.
Yes.
So I worked as a janitor altogether for 33 years. When my mother passed on at age 42, I told my brothers and sisters, and that by this time I was help raising their children because they were having problems, and I was raising my nieces and nephews.
So your whole focus was taking care of your family, like you're the actual husband.
Yeah, basically.
Okay.
Yeah, the whole breadwinner. That at Mother's funeral, at 42, I told all of you, I have done all I can. I love all of you dearly, but now it's time for you to stand on your own. And so I'm going to go build whatever type of life I could possibly have. So I also said, you know, I am tired of carrying the cross around. Somebody else needs the wood. You're all on your own. After my mother died, after working already from age 17 to 42, I was literally flat broke. Beyond flat broke. I had
supporting, what, 10 people?
I was supporting 4, and each of them had 2 children, so whatever that would be. I never did the math. Anyway, so I was so broke after my mother's funeral, I had to go move into a by-the-week hotel. And I literally walked away with 2 suitcases and the clothes on my back after my mother died.
That's scary.
Well, no, but here's the key. I followed my hippie philosophy that my mother taught me: have faith in thyself, believe in thyself, trust in thyself, and you'll set the world on fire. I continued to work as a janitor until December of 2017, when I developed really bad arthritis around I developed at 45, but I kept on working to age 50. Kept on working for another 10 years. Realizing I was walking away again, flat broke, I went into the legal marijuana business, and I worked in that for 3 years.
How was that? Because I remember when it was coming out here in Washington State. How was it at the time? Was it easy to make money? Difficult? So how did that go?
Well, it was very easy to make money because we were on the ground floor. And so anyway, so people have always asked me, what did I do when I made my money?
Right.
I wanted to travel to Hawaii, but I didn't want to go by myself. So I had 2 young friends, and I took them over to Hawaii twice. We all stayed a month, and I paid for every little dime of it.
Wow.
So I never asked them for a penny.
Right.
And I was the proudest thing I ever did. Now, 3 years into the business, I realized that the market was becoming oversaturated, you know.
Oh, so you saw it coming.
Oh, a mile away.
Okay.
See, here is the key. When you're the only place in town selling hamburgers, you can really do it.
Right.
But you have a hamburger stand on every street corner, you've lost your market. And I saw that coming.
So you saw that.
So I let my partner take over everything, and I just walked away. Now again, I had to figure out how to make another, I'm not going to use the word fortune, but how to make a comfortable living. So that's when
they paid you to walk away. They bought you out?
Yes,
okay,
I walked
good.
away.
Okay,
yes,
good.
enough for me to live a year in Maui, Hawaii, and meet my good friend Bill. Anyway, so that was the part of it. But I was realizing I was living on the fumes of the money, so I said I had to figure out something else.
Right.
So for 15 years, I had thought about writing a simple little werewolf tale.
Interesting.
Yes, I thought about it for 15 years. I got the first 100 pages written in Maui, Hawaii.
Well, when we were there that time?
I have the first 100 pages.
I know you were working on something.
Yeah. First 100 pages were done. The problem is, to all the people listening, is I'm a ghastly speller, and I do not work the smart computers and stuff like that. So I came back home to stay at my aunt's house in a small farming community on the Kansas border, and there me and my aunt were able to write the rest of it. So we're just about there. One thing of interesting note was in my 20s, while working at a nursing home, I met a lady who would radically change my life. We'll call her Miss K.
Miss K.
Well, Miss K had a husband who was in the nursing home, and I really liked Miss K. She was a remarkable woman. And so during the course of our friendship, she was in her 70s, and I was 23 years old.
You're the boy toy.
Yeah, I was her boy toy.
Okay.
And people have over the years have always said, "Oh, that sounds nasty." It was, but it was rocking my world. Of all the praises for Miss K, of all the women I've met since her, no woman can hold a candle to that woman. She was really something.
Really?
Anyway, so I became her official boy toy and escort for 3 years.
Interesting.
Yes, and I learned a whole lot from her.
Okay.
I learned a lot about philosophy of money because Miss K has started out very poor herself and worked herself as a secretary to support her and her sister. Her parents had died very young.
Okay.
So she came from an extremely humble background, and she got lucky by marrying 3 of the owners of the companies that she worked for.
Ooh, she's good at getting married, huh?
Yeah, she was getting married, and she was on her 3rd husband.
Okay.
But Henry was still alive, so we had to keep it very quiet.
Okay.
I only got to pose for 1 picture with Miss K, and the picture was we were sitting on her couch one day when her next door neighbor was Kathy Lee. You've heard of Sarah Lee, the granddaughter of the bakery empire, and she used to like to come by and visit with us. So she pulled out a camera and said, "We got to take a picture of you two," and that's the only picture I have of me and Miss K, because she was very private.
Right.
Now, I also was her official escort. We went to the governor's mansion twice. We went to the Lisa Nixon reception. We went to the Prince Charles reception.
Really?
Yes.
So you're kind of in that circle.
In that circle.
Okay.
Our table, we sat right next to George and Barbara Bush, and I spent the evening talking about Barbara Bush's lovely, famous triple strand necklace. I found out from Barbara it was given to her on her 10th wedding anniversary by George, the one she wore all the time in all her pictures. Very nice lady, very elegant. And so absolutely it was a wonderful, wonderful evening. So the years with Catherine, with Miss K, taught me a whole lot. About how her biggest philosophy was, if I have to say was that she believed that happiness came from the inside out, not the outside in. So she said, you know, you can try to throw diamonds on and whatever, and cars and whatever, but if you're not happy on your inside, it will never work. So her favorite saying was, you know, if you cry by a shack on the railroad track, you will one day cry in a mansion on the hill, because you have changed surroundings, you have not changed you.
Yes.
All right, I'm going to start talking about my book, A Simple Little Werewolf Tale. It starts in the year of our Lord, 1972, about a man who is not born a werewolf, but over the course of time is bitten in his teenage years and becomes a lichen. So as a lichen, his biggest problem, because he has a very rocky childhood with his parents and stuff, he's still trying to look for love in all the wrong places. And he goes through some very disastrous relationships. And at the very end of the book, he finally finds love in the right place. It's a very romantic book. It is done in, it's done in a very, very nice style.
Nice style.
Nice style.
And where, so it's in the 1970s, this century. And where's it located? What do you imagine, what did you imagine for the location?
Well, it starts out in the Dalles, Oregon. Oh yeah.
Yes,
the Dalles,
yes.
and I lived in the Dalles, Oregon in that time period, so I mean
Yes.
just perfectly.
Yes.
And the book goes up to the 2005s and 2006, so it goes, it's contemporary.
2005 to 2006.
That's where the book ends.
Ah, is that the first book?
This is the first book.
Okay.
And this book here, now let me talk a second about my second book.
Okay.
It is called A Simple Little Sebastian Tale.
Okay.
Now, this book is set in the 1550s in Renaissance Italy. Sebastian's father is a very, very wealthy wine merchant, but he falls madly in love with the girl basically down in the next village. Her name is Catalina.
Okay.
But because of the great difference in their financial standing in the community, his father forbids him to marry her. So she is going to be forced to marry somebody in town that she does not love. And so Sebastian, being so angry, runs away, and he goes to the coast of Italy where the ships are, and he unfortunately gets bitten by a werewolf, and he becomes a werewolf. That's how he becomes a werewolf. So he always spends the next 550 years looking for a woman to replace Catalina. and he never quite finds her. So at the end of the first book, our werewolf character, his name is Christian, meets a girl at the werewolf club who's named Catalina. And he's already known Sebastian for a little bit of time. He's been at a few business meetings and stuff like that. So at the end of the first book is basically the end of the second book. Sebastian and Catalina find each other, and they now find each other wonderfully. So the second book is a pre-sequel. We have to learn about his life without her for 550 years.
Oh, so that's the segue.
Yes. So even though at the end of the first book they find each other, we have to go back and find the whole story, what happened to her and what happened to him for the 550 years.
Interesting.
Now, in my second book, Sebastian's going to be a man's man werewolf. He's going to, for a while, work as a pirate. He's going to run a plantation. He's going to own a human werewolf bordello in New Orleans in the Gilded Age of the 1880s. So Sebastian's going to have lots of swashbuckling adventure. For all the gentlemen out there who want a rough, tough, tumble werewolf, he's a-coming.
He's a-coming.
All right. My first werewolf, Christian, is more the loving, looking for love werewolf. And that's that. And then this is a 3-part series, and then we will have book number 3 coming out. So it will be done in a trilogy. So we won't talk about number 3 because it's not ready yet.
Sure. That's wonderful. So before we wrap up, summarize how you visualize this, like a movie or something. I thought that was quite fascinating.
All right. I am not a professional writer. I had never went to college, and I've only got a high school diploma. I never took no professional writing classes. So what I do is I shut my eyes, and my book plays in my mind as a movie.
Really?
So I'm just telling the lady, my aunt, who's doing the typing, the 2 guys walk in the bar, and here's what they do. And what she does is, well, all right, what else happens? It's kind of dull. The jukebox is playing, someone's playing pool, so she helps me with the filling in the detail. But in my mind, it's just a movie playing. So that's how I see it. I don't know if all writers write that way, but that's how I write.
That's exciting. Well, most people who are very successful, they're only good at one thing, and they get experts in every other area. So that's perfect. So, well, that's great. So we're going to wrap up this interview. Is there anything else you'd like to share for the audience?
Yes. I promised my audience. Now, there's already major commitments for book number 1. If there is never no commitment for book 2 or 3, I promise I will write them just for my fans and my friends who need to know the whole story.
That's great.
And I'm going to do that at my love and pleasure for pleasing everybody. And please wait. See, I did make one mistake of writing, being a first-time writer. I thought I could write it in 1 year. It took 2 years.
Oh, that's normal.
Yeah, so fans, please be patient. I promise you'll get 2 and 3, probably 2 years apart, but they'll be worth the wait, and they'll be excellent writing and an excellent story. You'll want to read them.
Thank you. That's awesome. That's awesome. So once again, the title of the book?
A Simple Little Werewolf Tale. And the premise is a werewolf looking for love in all the wrong places.
Written by Robert Fry.
W. Fry. And look forward for all of you to read it real soon on everything.